This is Christy Rich. This is your host of Holistic Me TV, and this is season 2. Season 2 is all about the pregnancy journey. I am bringing on health experts from all around the world to educate you about the whole journey from conception, fertility, pregnancy, and labor, and also postpartum. So I'm very excited. This is a passion of mine. If you have been following me, you know that I am writing a 3-book series on holistic childbirth around the world. I've been focusing on this since 2019, and this is my joy to write and to educate you and to give you information that you may not know, that may not be talked about readily. So again, I'm Christy Rich. I've been a holistic health expert for over 18 years, and now I'm also helping women in holistic childbirth, my new niche. And I love to help women to overcome chronic conditions, chronic illnesses, and trauma through a holistic perspective. So that means mind, body, and spirit. And that means getting to the root cause, really understanding why the condition happened, and then treating it naturally with natural remedies and natural ways. And for holistic childbirth, if you're not familiar with holistic childbirth, then that is, again, the whole journey. That's the whole journey from fertility to postpartum. And it's also about chronic conditions that happen in pregnancy and postpartum. So there's chronic conditions that happen to women only during these times of pregnancy and postpartum that do not happen any other times in their lives. So I've been doing a lot of research to understand the root cause of these chronic conditions, and also to understand why complications happen in labor so that they can be prevented, and also so all of this journey can be treated naturally as well. So today we have a guest from Canada. So I'm so excited to introduce you to her today. So I am going to read her bio, and then we will introduce her and bring her on the show. So today we have Taryn Firkser, and she is a holistic nutritionist and herbalist apprentice who is passionate about supporting women before, during, and after pregnancy. She's also the founder of Aubergine and Olive Holistic Nutrition, a former diplomat and travel writer, a total foodie, a chocolate fiend, and a mama of 3. Okay, welcome. Great to have you on the show.
Hi, Christy. Thanks so much for having me here.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. So we have a lot in common. So I was looking over your bio, and I know that you're all about science and research and evidence-based information, and really making sure that women have enough information to give informed decisions, to make informed decisions. So we are going to, I know, bust some myths today. I'm very excited. And so for those who are not familiar with you, can you share your story? Can you share your story of why you got into the work that you do today?
Yeah, definitely. So as you mentioned, I am a former diplomat, so this is a second career for me. I knew really near the start of my career as a diplomat that it wasn't the right fit for me. That, a desk job sitting 9 to 5 behind a computer was not going to provide the satisfaction that I felt I needed in life. So I started doing some soul searching and real deep thinking about what is it that I'm passionate about, and what do I want to spend a big chunk of my life journey doing? And I knew right away that it had to do with health and wellness, with food particularly. I've always been so interested in the connection between what we eat and how we feel, and the impact that food has on our bodies. But then there's my other passion of being a mother and taking care and growing my children and seeing how food impacts them.
Yes.
So I wanted to wrap these passions up all together, and see what I could do with them to help other women out there who were maybe facing some challenges with their bodies and with their well-being, and to see how I could support them. So I decided to go back to school. I'm a lifetime learner. So I went back and earned my diploma in natural nutrition, and knew right away that I wanted to work with women on their pregnancy journeys to help them nourish themselves and their babies throughout that journey. Like you mentioned, the whole holistic journey from just the idea of getting pregnant all the way through pregnancy and postpartum and beyond. But I knew I wanted to do things a little bit differently, because I think we all know that when we visit the doctor or kind of standard healthcare practitioners, we're told black and white, you should do this, you shouldn't do this. with no information why or why not. And I
Yes.
feel like women are just getting shit on all over the place.
Yeah.
And the last
And
thing they need is another
disempowered, right?
exactly. So I wanted to do things a bit differently, like I said, where I wanted to empower women. So instead of telling them this is what you should do and what you shouldn't do, my role is just to provide the information, so that then they are empowered to make their own informed decisions about what's best for themselves and their babies. Because
Yes.
I think that's the best way to treat human beings as, responsible adults that are
Yes.
able to make their own decisions. Sometimes they just need to have the information to
Hmm.
make those decisions. So that's my role as an
Absolutely.
educator.
Absolutely. I think that's so important. And to circle back to what you said, I think also, unfortunately, doctors are spreading a lot of fear. They're saying, do this, and they may be giving a reason that's fear-based. And so women are agreeing to do it because they're scared. They don't want to do something wrong. But it sounds like what you're doing by giving information to women is empowering them and not spreading the fear, but helping them, again, like you said, to have enough information so they can decide what's best for them, for their body, and for their children.
Exactly. So they're making informed based decisions and evidence based decisions and not decisions out of fear.
Beautiful, beautiful. And the work that you do today, is it also based on your pregnancy journey?
Absolutely. When thinking about how best to serve my clients and women in general, I absolutely think back to my experiences. So my journeys through pregnancy, my experiences with fertility challenges and with
Mm,
loss and with postpartum recovery challenges,
mm,
and the tools that I wish I had had back then and the information that would have been so helpful for me to have then. Those are the things that I want to provide for women because I understand the challenges that they have. I come from it from a sympathetic and empathetic point of view so that
yes.
I can give them what they need based on, what I went through because it's very similar.
Yes, I attract a lot of empaths. We have that in common. I'm an empath as well. So, thank you for sharing your story. I think that's important for women to understand. And it sounds like you didn't have the right mentor to help you. Did you feel overwhelmed in the process, trying to gather all the information and see what was right for you and your baby?
Absolutely. I remember when I first found out I was pregnant with my first baby, I had no idea what to do. I saw my doctor who just said, "Oh, just take a prenatal and you'll be fine." And that was the extent of the advice that I got. And I was like a deer in the headlights. I was like frozen with fear that I didn't want to do anything wrong
Right.
and I didn't know what the right thing to do was. So I was just like stuck and paralyzed.
Wow.
And it was terrifying because it wasn't just about me. Now it was about my baby, my future
Yes.
child.
Yes.
Um, so having to navigate that on my own was very, very challenging. And then in
Mm,
subsequent pregnancies, I was so grateful that I could take the information that I had learned in the beginning and apply it. But in the
yes.
beginning, yeah, it was really tough.
Yeah, and I think a lot of new moms go through that. It's a lot of information, and unfortunately, they do not learn it in school. We don't have our mothers bringing this information down to us, so we get the knowledge from our grandmothers and our mothers. So it's basically, as soon as a woman becomes pregnant, then she tries to get educated, and then she doesn't know where to go for the answers. So also, you mentioned about fertility issues. So, did your doctor help you to understand why you were having fertility issues to help you to get to the root cause and to give you advice about what to do, or did you feel lost in that journey as well?
So because I started that fertility journey through the conventional medical system, um, nobody looked at root causes. Um, it was more just what can we do to really push your body and get things going rather than looking at, well, what's the actual issue?
Yeah.
And no surprise, there were no results when we took that approach. And it was only when I started to see a traditional Chinese medical practitioner that things
Hmm.
started to happen. And I
Good.
credit her with my subsequent pregnancy.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm so glad that you sought her out. So, this is very important information for women to know. And again, I think Fertility is a topic that a lot of women struggle with, and they don't know why they are not able to get pregnant. But if you take a holistic approach, there's always a reason, there's always a root cause. And if you can discover that and work with someone who can support you, then you can get healthier and conceive. So this is very important for women to have hope that it is possible if they are open to another approach, a holistic approach. So I know that you help women in conceiving. And can you tell us a little bit about what's important? Well, let me go back a little bit. So I know you also have very strong opinions about things. And so I want to ask you, there is a saying, there is a philosophy that a lot of women go by, and it's that when you are pregnant, you are eating for two. And I wanted to ask you, do you believe in that philosophy? When you are pregnant, you are eating for two, you need to double your calories, and you need to basically eat much more because now it's for you and your baby. First of all, do you believe in that philosophy?
So I absolutely do not believe in that philosophy. I think that's a traditional, conventional medical approach to pregnancy. And I think telling women to eat for two does them a serious disservice.
Yeah.
Instead, I prefer to take the approach of nourishing for two. So rather
Yes.
than focusing on like increasing that quantity of food, eating more and increasing your calories, I prefer instead to advise women to increase the quality of their food. So
Yes.
you're eating better food. So you're actually nourishing yourself and not just feeding yourself.
Yes.
But I think that it's about more than just the food.
Absolutely.
So like when we're talking about nourishing yourself as a holistic nutritionist, I take the holistic perspective. So you're not just physically putting food into your body, but we're talking about nourishing yourself as a being. So things like mental health and well-being,
Yes.
stress management, sleep
Yes.
quality,
Oh, yes.
movement and exercise, your spiritual wellness. So
Yes.
looking at yourself as a whole is also really important part to nourishing yourself and nourishing your baby as well.
Great. I'm so glad that you brought that up because I think a lot of women think that it's just about the physical body. And again, getting the right calories and making sure all of the needs of the baby are correct. But many doctors, again, do not recommend a holistic approach. They didn't learn that in school. So let me ask another question. So cravings are very common when women are pregnant. So do you believe that women should follow all of their cravings? Or do you believe that they should be even more conscious of what they're eating because now they are nurturing a child? So, for instance, if a woman has a craving every single day of having ice cream, do you think it's good to go with that craving? Or do you think that she should be mindful and eating the best quality food while she's pregnant?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think it's a really common one. But it's difficult to give a black and white answer. I think it really depends. And I think it's important to take a step back and consider why you're having that craving.
Hmm.
So is it just that you really like ice cream and maybe now you feel like you can have it every day? Or is it that maybe you're craving sweetness because your blood sugar is low and you need to bring your blood sugar levels up? Or is it that you're craving the dairy aspect of it? Maybe you need more protein or calcium in your diet. So just taking a minute to kind of investigate what's going on inside of you and thinking about, well, why am I craving that? Is it emotional comfort? Is it a
Yeah.
craving for a specific taste or sensation? And then considering how you're going to satisfy that. So maybe by not having ice cream every day, maybe once in a while, because who doesn't love ice cream, but then maybe thinking about some healthier alternatives you can have on other days so that you are taking a balanced approach.
Yes, and I think that's very important what you said to really understand why you're having the craving. So not just go for the craving, but to assess, oh, well, have I been on a diet before and have I been restricting having my ice cream? So now that I'm pregnant, I hear I can eat for two, so now I can have as much of I want of things that I have been, limiting for so long. So it's very important that women are conscious, that they really think and assess. And if it's hard for you to do so, again, to work with someone so that you can have someone else's input. So going back to nurturing and nourishing ourselves during pregnancy, do you believe it's also important for women to nourish themselves when they are on the conception journey?
Very, very important. I think of the pregnancy journey kind of like running a marathon. Um, so if you are an endurance athlete and you run the marathon, you know that on the day, you're not just going to start on the day of that marathon, off you go and that's it. You need
Yeah.
to prepare your body for, months in advance. And at the same time, after the marathon, you don't just go off the course and go back to your regular life. You need to rest and recover. And I
Yes.
think the pregnancy journey is very much in the same way, in that before you start, you have to prepare your body.
Yes.
And then during the journey, you have to nourish your body. And then afterwards, you have to give yourself the time and the space to recover and replenish.
Yes.
So yes, to answer your question, conception, it's absolutely vital to get yourself ready for this massive undertaking so that you have a healthy pregnancy and you have a healthy postpartum period as well.
Yes. Beautifully said. And how can women take steps to nourish themselves before they become pregnant? What are some examples?
I think that's such a great thing to consider. Number one is diet. So focusing on eating nutrient dense food, or as I like to call it, eating real food. So
Yes.
eating food that's made by nature and not made in a factory, really trying to
Yes.
prioritize those so you're getting as much nutrient as you can from your food. So the diet, that's the diet piece,
So
is the
whole
one piece.
foods is what you're recommending.
Real, whole, nutrient dense foods.
Yes.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
as much as you can.
Mhm.
um Eliminating toxins from your body and lifestyle.
Yes, this is
So
very important. Talk about this because I think this is something women do not consider before trying to conceive.
yeah, so these are things that build up in your body. And then you can often pass them on to your baby. So
Yes.
eliminating as much as you can before conceiving is really important. So you start off with, a lower amount in your body. So there's various things you can do here, but the simplest things are really eliminating products from your home. So beauty products and cleaners and household products that contain harmful ingredients.
Yes.
Um, Prioritizing organic food when you can.
Yes.
Um, Taking a look at lifestyle and an environment and things that you might be exposed to on a regular basis,
Mm,
and giving your body the time to clear that out before you actually start planning to conceive.
yes. And also attending to stress and managing your stress and having more relaxation. Would you say that's an important part as well?
I think that's a very important part, especially when it comes to fertility. The hormones in our body are so intricately tied together, which means that the hormones that your body produces when you're under stress affect the hormones that your body produces within the reproductive cycle. So your fertility is going to be affected by your stress levels.
Yes.
I mean, your stress levels are going to affect every system in your body. So you're looking at your overall health and well-being, that kind of preparing for the marathon stage. You want to be in the best shape that you can be before you start the marathon. So
Yes.
you need to deal with the effects of stress on your body so that you can be in that great shape. And then also the fertility piece as well.
Great. Well, you explained that beautifully. So I think that's very, very clear and also very clear for women to understand that it's very important to become as healthy as possible before you try to conceive, before you become pregnant. And that's not only for your health, but it's also so that you have a healthy pregnancy, a healthy labor, a healthy postpartum, and so that your baby is as healthy as possible too. Because, like you said, we don't want these toxins to be passed down because that creates illness. I had heavy metal toxicity, so I know what it's like to have very high levels of toxins. It creates illness. It creates a lot of stress on the body. The body has to work harder, and it's often misdiagnosed. So, very, very important that women are proactive, that they are consciously conceiving. And I think it's beautiful that you spoke so eloquently about that. So let's go back to the pregnancy journey. So again, there's a lot of doctors that recommend prenatal vitamins. They recommend prenatal vitamins for everyone. And I was wondering, what do you think about prenatal vitamins? Should all women be taking prenatal vitamins?
I love this question. And this is something that I feel very strongly about. Um, I absolutely feel that all women do not need to take prenatal vitamins. I feel that it is a choice. It's not something you have to do. In fact, in pregnancy, there is nothing that you have to do. It's all choice. No
Yes.
matter what your doctor says, it's choice,
Yes.
including taking prenatal vitamins. So it's really up to each individual person to decide if they themselves need to take a prenatal vitamin, if that is the right decision and the best way for themselves to take care of themselves and for their baby, understanding the pros and cons, the benefits and the consequences of either decision.
Yes. So how can women decide if it's right for them? Because again, it seems like most OBGYNs are recommending it. And as women can understand, not all previtamins are the same. It's just like regular vitamins. And when I had my chronic illness, basically my doctors were saying, no, don't take vitamins. Vitamins are not really approved by the FDA. We are not screening them. They could be coming from other countries. They could have heavy metals in them, yada, yada. And so we don't recommend that. But then I think it's interesting once women become pregnant, then they're like, yes, take vitamins, take prenatal vitamins. And it doesn't matter which one, just take prenatal vitamins. Or maybe they may recommend a certain one, but each company has a different standard, has different quality, and also has different amounts of vitamins per capsule or number of capsules you need to take. So it's not standardized. So again, how can women know if they should take prenatal vitamins? Do you recommend that they go through blood testing and see if they're deficient in anything? Or how can they make this decision?
Great points in there. And you struck on a lot of the issues that I have with prenatal vitamins. But so when it comes to making that decision, and I've put together a free guide for women that's available on my website that has all the information that women need to know when they're choosing their prenatal vitamin. But
Wonderful.
when it comes to that initial decision, should I take them or not? Do I need to take it or not? I think it's important that women understand. So first, yes, prenatal vitamins contain a whole bunch of nutrients that are important for baby's growth and development. But on the flip side, it is absolutely possible to get all of those nutrients from food.
Yes.
So
And isn't it better to get it from food instead of synthetic vitamins?
it is much better to get it from food as nature designed and packaged it rather than taking individual, often synthetic forms of vitamins and minerals that are not packaged in the way that nature intended it. Our body just deals with the natural forms so much better. So
Yes.
I think that there's a lot of information out there about why prenatal and vitamins are important. So the things that I like to share are the things that women should consider when making this decision, but also if they do decide to take a prenatal, that if they decide that that is the best choice for them, some things to consider when choosing which actual supplement to take, because as you mentioned, they're not all created equally. And there are actually no standards. There's no standard formula.
Right.
So every brand, every product is going to differ in terms of what it contains and in terms of the quality as well.
Yes.
So it's really important to have a look at what you're actually taking and what it contains, and ask yourself if you actually need those ingredients. So I'm thinking of iron, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So iron is something that most practitioners are concerned about during pregnancy just because of increased blood volume.
Yes.
And it's something that is monitored during pregnancy. And as a result, iron is also often included in like your standard prenatal multivitamin.
Yes.
But I've been doing a lot of thinking and research into iron needs in pregnancy and iron deficiency diagnosis during pregnancy in the last little while.
Tell us.
And it's very clear to me that iron deficiency is really, I think, the most overdiagnosed nutritional deficiency in maternal care.
Really? Wow.
Which means that most women who are told by their doctors that they are iron deficient and need to take an iron supplement are not actually iron deficient and therefore don't need to take an iron supplement.
So why are they being told that they are?
So it's based on results from very basic blood work, where the results might indicate iron deficiency,
Might.
but they might indicate it, but those results might also indicate another problem.
Oh.
And most doctors don't take that one step further and investigate it to confirm iron deficiency.
Oh.
They just kind of assume, which is dangerous because then women are taking iron supplements when they don't need to, which can lead
Yeah.
to iron overload.
Yeah, it can take too
And
much.
then the actual cause of the problem is not investigated. So
Right.
and then is not resolved. Um,
Right.
so the fact that iron is included in most standard formulas is concerning because most women don't need that extra iron. Yet
Right.
they're taking it, they're taking it anyways. And then what does that do to your body when you're taking in a significant amount of a nutrient that you don't actually need that amount of?
Yes, this is such an important point. I'm so glad that you are bringing this up. I knew we would be busting some myths today, and here we go, busting myths about prenatal vitamins and about iron in pregnancy. So, this is very important because I know a lot of women are being told that they're anemic, that they need to take iron supplements. I also know women who take prenatal vitamins or have taken them in the past and have had side effects, have had terrible nausea, So, I think that could be because of the iron and they still continue to take it even though they know they're having side effects from it because their doctor recommended it and they believe they have to take it. And so it's important that you listen to your body because your body is wise. Your body is always trying to communicate its needs with you. And it may be speaking a different language than we do, but it's still trying to communicate it wants the best for you. And it's very important what you brought up is that, again, most doctors are not taking a holistic approach to understand the root cause. So if they see that you might have an iron deficiency, they're not going a step further to see if you, in fact, do have an iron deficiency or if you have another condition. And so you could have this other condition that needs to be treated and it's not being treated, and you're being given a supplement that you don't need, which can have adverse reactions if you have too much. So this is very, very important. Star, highlight, everyone share this information. This is not being shared widely. So thank you so much for bringing this up. Thank you. Anything else you'd like to mention about prenatal vitamins and how you should know if they are right for you? There's one thing I wanted to mention, but I wanted to let you talk about this since you're very passionate about this subject.
Absolutely. So there's so many things I could say about prenatal vitamins, but the one other thing I wanted to highlight since we're myth busting,
Yes.
is so in general, looking at the form of the nutrients that are included. So that like looking at that list that comes on the back of the different vitamins and minerals that are included and what form are they in. And I'm thinking
Mm,
specifically of B vitamins and even
yes.
more specifically of folate or folic acid.
Right.
Um, I think most women are told pregnancy, you need folic acid. Even prior to pregnancy, when during
Yes,
preconception, you need to get that folic acid up.
they are. Yes.
But I think that's a misconception because it's not actually folic acid that you want, it's folate, which sound very similar, but there is a very important difference in that folate is the natural form of this vitamin and folic acid is the synthetic form.
Right.
And your body then needs to take that folic acid, take it in, and convert it to folate, which doesn't necessarily happen all that easily or readily, especially for a big chunk of the population that has a certain genetic mutation that prevents their body from transferring and absorbing this vitamin.
Yes, MTHFR. You want to talk about that?
Exactly. So this is a big deal. And I think it's a bigger deal than most people realize that I've heard estimates of up to 70% of the population have this and related genetic mutations.
Wow, 70%.
Up to 70%,
Wow.
somewhere between 30 to 70%, and the average is usually given at about 50%, but it's not something that's regularly tested for.
Right.
So most people don't know that they have it. And I have great detailed information in my blog on my website about MTHFR in pregnancy and folic acid and folate in pregnancy and how this all plays together. But in general, I advise women that if you don't know if you have this genetic mutation or you do have it and you are taking prenatal supplements, taking something with folic acid is you're wasting your money. It's not going to do you any good. In order to get that folate into your system, you need to take the folate form and you need to take it in a methylated form, which then is going to allow your body to absorb that nutrient.
Mhm.
So, like I said, looking at the form that it's in is very important. And I
Yes.
think that this is also a great way to, like, a great clue into the quality of the product that you're considering, because companies that are interested more in profit rather than quality products will
Mm,
use folic acid because it's much cheaper to produce.
right.
So they can increase their profits. So a brand that is going to use folate, and especially a methylated form of folate, they're perhaps a bit less concerned about profit, and they're a bit concerned more with the quality of their ingredients. So
And
you
the
can
health
then,
of the woman.
yeah, exactly. So then you can reasonably assume that their product in general is going to be better quality than one that includes folic acid.
You said so much I want to talk about. Okay, so this is beautiful. I'm so glad you're bringing up all of this very, very important information. So, where to begin first? So, yes, I think it's very important that women are aware of this. So, I did interview an OBGYN in Peru, and he was recommending that, similar to what you said, that women do not need a prenatal vitamin. And again, he was saying that a lot of the reason why women take prenatal vitamins is because they did research in Africa. So they went to countries where women were malnourished to see if taking a prenatal vitamin would help them in pregnancy. And of course, if you are malnourished, if you're not getting enough vitamins in your food, taking a supplement, taking prenatal vitamins is going to help. But they never did the study with Americans. They never did the study with Canadians. This was just people who really needed help. And then they saw the benefit. And then they started spreading to everyone, again, to make a profit, that yes, all women need to take prenatal vitamins. So he did recommend taking iron. He did recommend taking, I can't remember if he recommended folate or folic acid. And I don't think he recommended anything else, but he was very specific that those are important. But what you're saying is also very important, that one, a lot of women have MTHFR and they're not aware of it. And for that, you cannot absorb the folate like others can. You need a methylated version. So it's very important that women know that, but also going back to the root cause, what I have found through my research is that women who have the MTHFR, and I'm still doing research for book 2, is that often they have lots of inflammation and often they really need to detox. So going back to being proactive with your conception, if you do detoxify your body, if you do release the heavy metals, if you do really focus on a mind, body, spirit approach before conceiving, then I do believe that the numbers will go down of those who have MTHFR. So very, very important to understand that you can improve your health and wellness. You can change for the better by being proactive. And there was something else you were saying about that. Can't rec. Oh, but of course, women can also eat food that has folate in it, correct? So they can choose food.
Absolutely.
They do not have to have a supplement. So what are some examples of food that have folate in it that women can just eat instead of taking a vitamin?
So that's really your best place to get your folate is directly from the food. That's the form that your body absorbs the best. And you don't have to take it in a pill form. So the word folate comes from the Latin word that means foliage, like greenery. So you can imagine then that folate is often found in like leafy green vegetables. So things like spinach and broccoli are great sources of folate.
Wonderful.
And then foods like avocado and banana.
I love all those foods.
Your animal product sources, like especially beef and chicken liver, are fantastic sources of folate, as well as eggs.
Yes.
And then on a more plant-based side, chickpeas and lentils and other legumes also have folate in them.
So a lot of delicious food, that's easily easily found at the grocery store. You can eat and you can have enough of those vitamins. You do not need to supplement if you do not wish to, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, very, very important information. Thank you for busting these myths. So now let's go into postpartum. So what do women need in postpartum to nourish themselves? And that is food as well as other ways. How can women nourish themselves postpartum?
So I think it's important to look at pregnancy as a journey, and that's what we've been calling it, a journey.
Yes,
And
yes.
this journey doesn't end the moment you deliver your baby. And I think a lot of women are expected to have their baby and jump back up and into everything because you're no longer pregnant and your journey is over. But because your journey is not actually over, there's still a very important period. That's the postpartum period. When it's the period for rest and recovery. You've just spent months and months growing a human being. You've expended the equivalent energy of running a marathon in childbirth. You need to give yourself the space to rest and recover and nourish in that vital stage. So especially if you're breastfeeding, because you're still growing your baby if you're breastfeeding, only now you're growing
Yes.
your baby on the outside. But
Yes.
some studies argue that you actually need more nutrients when you're breastfeeding than when you're pregnant. So your nutrient levels
Yes.
are still very high. Your body needs a whole bunch of nutrients in order to recover.
Yes.
So in order to get all those nutrients, you really need to properly nourish yourself in this period.
Yeah.
But I like what you said that, yeah, so it's not just about the food, it's the bigger picture, the holistic picture.
Yes.
So
And if I could just chime in really quickly, I think it is very important, like you said, I want to start this, that women need to be very conscious about what they eat postpartum and to know that you need more nutrients because I have interviewed a lot of women who have lost a lot of weight postpartum because they didn't realize that they needed to eat a little bit more because now they're breastfeeding and now they're recovering. So I think it's very important for women to know this. And of course, there are those who recommend postnatal vitamins, but I have a feeling I understand what your viewpoint is going to be about that. That again, food is always going to be better and preferred if you can.
I think that the standard approach is to keep taking your prenatal vitamins and you'll be fine and that's it.
Or postnatal.
But
Now postnatal is in vogue. They're a
yes,
little bit different. Yeah.
whichever form of kind of multivitamin that you're going to take. But again, it's up to each individual to decide if that's the best approach for them or not. You absolutely don't have to, and you absolutely can get all of those needed nutrients from food. And especially postpartum, it's really important to focus on getting those nutrients back up. You've likely depleted your nutrient stores during pregnancy, and you now have this extra need for nutrients. So you need to build things up. But having been through 3 postpartum periods myself, I know how challenging that can be because suddenly you have this brand new little creature that needs you an overwhelming amount around the clock. Sometimes you have other dependents and family members that also need
Yeah.
you, and you kind of fall down the line of priorities.
Mm,
But as a mother, I also know that if my cup is empty, I can't fill anyone else's cup. So
absolutely.
in order to properly care for my family members in the way that they need and deserve, I need to fill my cup. So by taking care of myself, I'm actually taking care of my family.
Absolutely. Very
So
important.
looking at it from that perspective, stopping to feed yourself some nutrient dense whole foods is just as important as changing your baby's diaper or rocking your baby to sleep or feeding your toddler or anything like that, because it is a vital part of taking care of them.
Yes, yes. And so, what are some ways that women can nurture themselves, nourish themselves, or even that others can come in and help to nourish the mother?
So the first thing I would say is focusing on the type of food you're eating. So you want things that are nutrient dense. I mean, if you're going to take the time to eat, make it worthwhile.
Yes,
Foods that are warming and comforting, like
yes,
broths and root vegetables,
yes,
and things that are easy to digest, because your digestive system is going through a lot at this time. So things that it's going to be easy for your body to pull the nutrients from.
yes,
Um, you also want things that are easy to prepare and quick to grab.
yes,
Um, so if you're fortunate enough to have others who are helping you eat, food that fits those categories are a great idea. If you're on your own and you're preparing food, things like nuts and seeds are so easy to just grab. It's
mm,
just as easy to grab a handful of almonds as it is to grab like a prepared processed granola bar, for example, but
yes, true,
much healthier for you.
true. And protein is so important. So, we have that sustained energy.
Absolutely. Things like smoothies or hard-boiled eggs that you can prepare in advance and just keep them in the fridge to grab.
Yes.
Dried fruit or chia pudding is one of my favorite that you can also
Oh,
make in advance and then grab when you need.
chia
Um,
seeds are so good for you, everyone. Superfood. Highly recommend chia seeds.
they're
Very good for you.
fantastic. And you just throw in a little bit of milk and mix them up. And 20 minutes later, you have a fantastic pudding.
Yeah, so easy to make, so easy to make. And you can make it with different types of milks. It doesn't have to be dairy, it can be dairy free. You can flavor it. It's delicious.
And then you can add in all kinds of stuff. Like I like to add in berries and nuts and seeds and bananas.
Yeah,
You
bananas.
could
I love bananas.
you
Yeah.
could make it a super indulgent snack by adding in like cocoa powder and making a sort of a chocolate pudding.
Yeah, I
Um,
can do anything.
yeah, it's a great one for sure.
And share it
Um,
with your kids if you have other little ones. They'd love it too.
Definitely. Yeah.
And what about planning ahead and making food and freezing it and having it in the freezer so you can just easily warm it up during the postpartum period? Do you recommend that?
Absolutely. I think that's a fantastic strategy. This is something that I was able to do with my third pregnancy before my third baby was born. I
Okay.
cooked up a whole bunch of stuff that was nourishing and warming, comforting, fits all that criteria, and package it and put it in the freezer. And then when the baby was born, I could just go and grab something from the freezer. And, a few minutes later, I had a wonderful meal to eat. So if you are able to do that, I think it's something that women should prioritize for sure. Or if you're having a baby shower, get your friends to do that during the shower or as a gift. Um, it's something that you will be so happy that you have and that you
Yes.
did once you are postpartum.
Wonderful. And what about a meal train? Having your friends and family deliver some food, have a night where they are preparing food so you don't have to do that, and just have that steady support so you don't have to worry about, okay, what am I eating for dinner? How am I going to make this and take care of the little one?
That is such a great idea. I live in a small kind of close-knit community, and anytime someone has a baby, someone gets a meal train going, and we make sure that person and their family are fed well for the first little while. And I
Wonderful.
know that they appreciate it because having something that's cooked by people that you know and love that comes from the heart and then they
Yeah,
provide to you, it's something really special.
it is special. Yeah, something you'll always remember too, that you had that support from your community.
And then you offer it back when you have the opportunity to.
Yes, full circle. Love it. Beautiful. Okay. And what about hiring support? Do you recommend that women hire support during postpartum to, again, help to nurture them and make sure they are feeling supported instead of overwhelmed?
If that's something that's available to women, I think it's a great thing to consider. Whether it's something like a postpartum doula,
Yes.
and various postpartum doulas offer various services, or like a kind of a house helper or a nanny to come help with maybe some chores or care of other ones, or whatever it is that you feel that you need help with. You can always find someone out there who, that's their zone of genius and they will come and take care of it for you. So I think that there's this feeling amongst women that we have to be super women and we have to be able to
Yes.
do it all. And we have to be able to do it all, even if we've just given birth and are now taking care of that baby.
Too
But
much
we don't
pressure.
we don't need to. And in many other cultures in the world and throughout history, women have been nurtured for the first weeks or months following childbirth and not
Yes.
expected to jump right back into things. So I think we need to break that stereotype and and realize that we not only can't we do it all, but we shouldn't have to do it all. And it's
Yes.
okay to ask for help.
Yes. It's encouraged. Women ask for help. Do not do it all on your own. It's too much. It's too much after giving birth to be a superwoman. So I love what you said, and it's important that women know that in other cultures, the first 40 days, the woman is expected to just take care of her baby, just to nurse, not to cook, not to clean, not to even go outside of the house. She stays in for the first 40 days in India and many other Asian cultures, and she has help come in. She has family members come in, her mother, and they nurture her. They bathe her. They do wrapping. They wrap the belly and they massage her and they cook for her, they clean for her, and anything that she needs, they will take care of. And it's this little time to just go inward and have that little cocoon and just spend time with the baby. And unfortunately, in a lot of Western cultures, women do not have that support, do not have that level of nurturing. But again, it's something that women can aim for to try to create that. And if they can, it can be quite a magical healing time for them. Quite,
I
quite
think
special.
it's worthwhile to take the time to make that happen if you can, because then you recover much quicker
Yes.
and in a much better way, so that months after childbirth you're not still dragging and feeling bad and have all this extra weight to lose and your hormones are off and you
Yeah.
feel much better,
Exhausted and
much quicker. So it pays off in the long run.
yes, so important. You may say, "Oh, that's such a luxury to take 40 days and just do that and not do everything else I feel I need to do." But as you said, you will heal quicker, you'll feel better, your baby will feel closer to you to have that time, just the two of you, and you'll feel so good knowing that your community is there to help you and you can have that private time and life will go on and you'll be okay.
Yeah, there's always laundry to do and things to clean, and it will get done eventually.
Yeah,
Um, but your health and well-being in those first few months are vital, and it is so important to nurture yourself during that period, and then you can deal with the stuff later.
beautiful, beautifully said. And anything else you would like women to know about nutrition throughout the whole pregnancy journey? Anything that maybe you'd like to insert now that they should think about eating during pregnancy, or anything about nurturing themselves postpartum or preconception? Anything you may have forgotten? If not, that's fine.
Maybe just to reiterate the point that it's about the whole journey, nurturing yourself and nourishing yourself throughout the journey from
Yes,
the very beginning, before pregnancy even starts, and
yes.
continuing it after pregnancy and through postpartum. It's not just that 9 months, it's through the whole entire journey.
Beautiful, beautifully said. And how can women work with you? How do you work with women in a session? First of all, can you describe a little bit about what it is to work with you to have a session?
Sure. So I work mainly virtually and I work with women worldwide and I offer one-on-one consultations. So how the process works is beforehand, women will receive my intake forms. So I ask a whole bunch of questions about your health and well-being and your personal history, just so I can have a really good understanding of you as a person.
Yes,
And then we meet and we have a really nice chat for an hour or so to really get to know each other and to understand what your concerns are and what your questions are and what kind of support you're actually looking for. And then I provide women with a health and wellness plan that gives them their tailor custom made recommendations for diet, nutrition, lifestyle, supplements, things to raise with their doctor, spiritual practices, whatever it is that they need. And
beautiful.
so that they can take that forward and they have a plan of what the next steps are for them. I also provide a customized 7-day meal plan. So they
Oh,
have a great practical example of how they can implement all of these dietary recommendations in an actual plan with meal and snack ideas, recipes, and even a shopping list that makes it really easy to get going.
beautiful, beautiful. That's a great service. And also, do you recommend herbs sometimes to your clients?
So as a holistic nutritionist, it's outside of my scope of practice to
Okay,
recommend herbs, but this is why I have started my journey as a herbal apprentice.
okay.
Um, so that once I am certified as a clinical herbalist, am so excited to then start incorporating herbs into my practice.
Wonderful. That's beautiful. This has been an amazing conversation. I know that the listeners will really have benefited from this, learned something new today. So, how can listeners get in touch with you? How can they learn more about the work that you do and to potentially work with you?
So the best way to find me is on my website at www.aubergineandolive.com. And I'm also on Instagram at Aubergine and Olive. So another great place to find out about me and to learn some more information.
Great, wonderful. So, everyone, definitely reach out to Taryn and get some more information about working with her. And please like this video if you have enjoyed today's episode. Please share this video if you feel that a lot of women can benefit from the juicy nuggets that we brought up today about busting some myths and about nutrition along the whole pregnancy journey. I think we've really nailed some really important points that are not being discussed that much so that you can really make informed decisions. So, Taryn and I both are very much to empower women and for them to have enough information so that they can make the right choices for them and for their baby. So please like this video, share this video. Don't forget to subscribe. If you subscribe, you will receive a notification for the next upcoming episode so that you know when it launches. And definitely go back and watch other episodes. There have been amazing guests from all over the world sharing their expertise about health and wellness, and for this season about the pregnancy journey. So there's so much to learn, so many tips, resources to help to support you. And you can also learn more about me. So if you would like to learn more about my services, you can go to my website, www.thedancingcurtain.com. And if you wish to be notified again about this series and other news, offers, and information, you can join my list, www.thedancingcurtain.com/get healthy. So if you have a question, put it in the comments below. If you have a comment, if you learned something new today, please comment in the comments below. So I know that we have shared so much information for you. It may be that you need some time to digest, but again, I want to start about the prenatal vitamins. This is something you may not have considered to do research on and to see if it is the right fit for you. Okay, so there are a lot of things that are recommended that may be trendy, that may seem like everyone's doing it. Just do it. You don't even have to think about this one. But it's very important that you know this is your body. What you're putting in your body affects you, affects your child, can affect labor, can affect postpartum, etc. So it's very important that you make the right decision for you. And just very quickly, this is a little bit off topic, but what Taryn said is important, is that you can get too much iron. And for my father, again, this is for men. Men should not receive too much iron. And he was having cereal that was fortified, and he got really high elevated levels of iron that became toxic. So they had to actually do bloodletting because it was so unhealthy, all the iron he had accumulated just from eating food that was fortified, not even taking a multivitamin, which is crazy. You don't think about this happening. So again, it's very important that we are proactive, that we know these things so we can make the right decisions for ourselves. So again, Taryn, thank you so much for your knowledge. Thank you so much for your wisdom and being a guest on Holistic Me TV today. It was great to chat with you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me here, Christy.
My pleasure. And thank you all for watching Holistic Me TV. And please don't forget to subscribe to watch the whole season. Bye for now.